Most people who try to build $1,000 a month in dividends never get there. Not because the math doesn't work, and not because they don't invest, but because they stop at the exact moment it starts to matter. That's what makes this number so misunderstood. $1,000 a month sounds simple on the surface. It sounds like a clean, straightforward goal, something you either reach or you don't. But what it actually represents is something very different. It's not just income. It's the point where your portfolio becomes strong enough to carry real weight on its own. And once you understand what it really takes to get there, you start to see why most people quit too early, and why the ones who don't end up so far ahead. So let's start with the part everyone wants to know, even if it's not the part most people want to hear. $1,000 a month is $12,000 a year. That's the easy part. The harder part is understanding what it takes to generate that income depending on how your portfolio is built. The key variable is yield, and even small differences in yield create massive differences in how much you actually need invested. At a 2% yield, you need about $600,000 invested. At 3%, that drops to $400,000. At 4%, you're around $300,000. And at 5%, you're closer to $240,000. It's the same $1,000 per month, but the path to get there looks completely different depending on how you approach it. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people immediately focus on the lowest number. They see $240,000 and think that's the target. But that number usually comes with trade-offs that aren't obvious at first. Higher yield often means higher risk, less stability, or lower long-term growth. So what looks like the fastest path can quietly become the most fragile one. That's a critical distinction, because this isn't just about reaching $1,000 per month. It's about keeping it. For a lot of people, this is where the mental disconnect happens. Numbers like $300,000 or $400,000 don't feel like a starting point. They feel like a finish line that's too far away to even consider. But that's exactly where most people get it wrong. Those numbers are not where you begin. They're where you end up if you stay in the process long enough. The real story isn't about starting with hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's about how someone builds toward that level without it feeling impossible along the way. There was a conversation with someone named Alex who had been investing consistently for a few years. Nothing extreme, no big windfalls, just steady contributions of around $400 to $500 a month. When he checked his account, he had just crossed $30,000. And he said something that's incredibly common, but rarely said out loud. It still doesn't feel like anything is happening. From the outside, everything looked right. He was consistent. He was reinvesting dividends. He wasn't panic selling. But the results didn't feel meaningful. The income being generated felt small, almost insignificant. This is the point where most people lose momentum. When progress doesn't feel visible, it's easy to assume it isn't working. At $30,000, even a 3% yield only produces about $900 a year, or roughly $75 a month. That doesn't feel like freedom. It doesn't feel like progress towards something meaningful. It feels small enough to ignore. But what Alex didn't fully see yet is that this stage is where the system is being built. That $75 isn't the result, it's the seed. And this is where a lot of people make a subtle mistake. They judge their progress based on income too early. They expect dividends to feel meaningful before the portfolio is large enough to support them. But dividends are a lagging indicator. They reflect the size of the system you've already built, not the one you're currently building. Early on, the real progress is happening in the background. When that income gets reinvested, it buys additional shares. Those shares produce more dividends. Those dividends get reinvested again. Over time, that cycle begins to compound on itself. In the early stages, almost all of the growth comes from your own contributions. But gradually, something begins to shift. The portfolio starts contributing, and eventually, it contributes more than you do. That's the turning point, and it happens later than most people expect. That delay is exactly why so many people miss it. Right around this stage, another problem tends to show up. People start looking for ways to speed things up. If 3% requires $400,000, then 8% must require much less, so that must be the better option. On the surface, that seems logical, but in reality, that's where things often break. High yield doesn't just mean higher income. It often means higher risk. Sometimes it's a company whose stock price is declining. Sometimes the dividend isn't sustainable. And sometimes it looks stable right up until it suddenly isn't. When a dividend gets cut, income drops immediately. At the same time, the value of the investment often falls as well. That's what's known as a yield trap, and it can set investors back years. The better approach is to think in terms of total return, not just yield. That means looking at how income, growth, and long-term stability work together. A portfolio yielding 2.5% today, but growing its dividends consistently while also increasing in value, can outperform a 6% yield that never grows. And this is where something important starts to happen. Dividend income is not static. It grows. If your portfolio increases dividends at even 8% to 10% annually, your income can double roughly every 7 to 9 years. That means what feels small today doesn't stay small. It compounds. It builds on itself. And over time, that growth becomes meaningful in a way that's hard to appreciate early on. Now bring this back to the actual goal of $1,000 per month. If someone starts from zero and invests consistently, let's say $500 a month, with a long-term return in the range of 7% to 9%, and reinvests everything, the timeline to reach that level is realistically around 12 to 15 years. That's the honest number. Not fast, but not unrealistic either. But here's the part that changes how you experience that timeline. The growth is not evenly distributed. A large portion of the progress happens in the later years. That means someone who stops at year 8 or 10 may never experience the most powerful phase of compounding. The majority of the visible results show up at the end, not the beginning. And that's exactly why patience becomes such a critical advantage. The experience doesn't feel linear. It feels slow until it suddenly doesn't. The first few years are quiet. You build to $10,000, then $20,000, then $40,000. Even though you're doing everything right, it still doesn't feel like much has changed. That's exactly where Alex was. But then something shifted. As his portfolio moved closer to $75,000 and then $100,000, the growth started to look different. Now the portfolio was adding thousands in a year, not just from contributions, but from its own momentum. For the first time, it felt like the system was working. And that's the moment most people never reach. Not because they can't, but because they stop just before it happens. The problem isn't that people don't invest. It's that they stop before investing starts to matter. And once you cross that point, everything begins to accelerate. Now, $1,000 a month doesn't feel like a distant goal. It feels like a continuation of what's already happening. That's why this number is so powerful. Not because of the income itself, but because of what it represents. It represents momentum. And once momentum is in place, the system becomes predictable. From there, the path to $2,000, $3,000, or even higher follows the same structure. The strategy doesn't change. The only variables are time and consistency. So the real question isn't whether this works. The math clearly does. The real question is whether you can stay consistent long enough to reach the point where it starts working for you. Because the people who succeed with this aren't necessarily the ones who start with the most money. They're the ones who continue when it feels slow. They reinvest when it feels small. And they stay patient when the results aren't obvious yet. That's what builds the machine. And once that machine is built, it doesn't just produce income. It produces flexibility, options, and control over how you spend your time. If $1,000 a month still feels far away, that's completely normal. But it's important to remember that you don't start at $1,000. You start at $10, then $50, then $100. Those early numbers matter more than they seem, because they're what build the base that everything else grows from. And if you want to see exactly how that progression works, and what it realistically takes to reach your first meaningful level of dividend income, the next video breaks down how much you need invested to make $500 a month in dividends, and why that first milestone is the one that changes everything. Because once you understand how to reach that level, $1,000 a month stops feeling impossible and starts feeling predictable.